In my past tutorial, I explained how to perform qualitative coding either through the use of Microsoft Word or through the use of qualitative data analysis software such as Nvivo. After coding, we need to move to getting themes. In this video, I'll be showing you how we get themes in the qualitative data analysis process. If you look at the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis, getting themes is the third step, which comes after familiarizing with the data and generating initial codes. This means that we get themes from looking at a shared pattern of meaning among different codes. We combine codes with a shared pattern of meaning together to form themes.
Let's see how we can get themes after doing the initial coding. For this video, I'm going to use an example of a study, Teachers' Challenges in Executing Alternatives to Corporal Punishment in Secondary Schools. Previously, I analyzed transcripts related to this data and I came up with some codes. And now, based on the interview questions, if I open them, these are the interview questions that are being asked in the transcript. I went in and started coding, and the codes, I tagged the codes with different colors based on the original questions they came from. If a code came from question number 1, for instance, it was red. Question number 2, it was blue. Question number 3, it was purple, and so on and so forth. I tagged these codes in different colors to just have a way of looking at codes together so that we can generate themes, as I'm going to show you. Back on this project, you can see the initial codes. After analyzing the files, you can see the transcripts here in the file section. We have interview 1 and interview 2. These two are the ones I analyzed to get initial codes. If you watch my previous videos, you see the process of coding. And ideally, we are using the Braun and Clarke 6-step framework for thematic analysis. Let me show you the Braun and Clarke. What we do first is we familiarize with the data, then we get initial codes as I've shown in my previous videos. Now we are looking for themes. This video is about looking for themes. Again, let's go to the codes, initial codes, and you can see for every code I have tagged them based on their relationship. As I was coding, I was using color codes to mark the codes that might be related. The process of moving from codes to themes involves looking for a shared pattern of meaning among the codes and grouping them together. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the code section in Nvivo and call these preliminary themes. Okay, and then I'm going to come and copy all initial codes because I don't want to make my changes in the original section because I want to be tracking my work. I'll copy all these revised codes, put them in the preliminary themes, and then start combining codes together based on shared meaning to come up with themes. I control all here, press Ctrl A on your machine. I copy. I go to this preliminary themes folder. I right click and I paste. Okay. So I'm just pasting the codes. Now from this folder called preliminary themes, we are going to start looking at different codes to look for a pattern of shared meaning so that we can form our preliminary themes. For instance, for corporal punishment, let me go to code properties. Let me correct this spelling mistake there. If you look at this, it's in red. Corporal punishment represents violence. Corporal punishment can cause depression. Corporal punishment lowers learners' self-esteem. Also, we can see a code like another one here. It can cause more harm than good. It's not an effective way to discipline learners. If you consider this is an interview among teachers, what theme are we seeing here? If you look at it, it's not effective. Learners can start to fear school. Corporal punishment represents violence. Corporal punishment can cause depression. Corporal punishment lowers self-esteem. What do we see? This is a theme about teachers' view on the effectiveness of corporal punishment. I'm going to scroll down, come to the blank space, right click, create new code, and call this. Now this is not a code, as you'll see later. Teachers' views on the effectiveness of corporal punishment, and click OK. With that in mind, let's look at what we just created. Just look at the numbers here. This is it. This is a theme now. So what do? I drag all the codes related to teacher's view, remember we first look at the codes, looked for a pattern of shared meaning, created this theme, and now we are going to drag the different codes about teachers' views on the effectiveness of corporal punishment inside that preliminary theme. Let's keep scrolling down, drop all the codes here. These are codes about teachers' views on the effectiveness of corporal punishment. I'm going to bring or to click on these two. They are red because they also talk about teachers' views on the effectiveness of corporal punishment. Drop that in there. Let's look for another code. Learners can start to fear school because of being beaten. That's also a teacher's view on the effectiveness of corporal punishment. All those codes are in there. Now, if I click on the plus sign, you can see. Now, this is a preliminary theme. You can see the numbers are still 0, 0 here. How do we add all this data? We click on the preliminary theme. We go to aggregate coding from children. We select that and everything will be added up. We can see 2 files, 6 references. So one of the first preliminary themes, and I can even go to code properties and number this as theme 1. Okay, teachers' views on the effectiveness of corporal punishment. I can also add a full description of what this theme means or what this theme represents based on the shared meaning of the different codes. So I can say that this theme represents the views of different teachers on how effective corporal punishment is in disciplining learners. Okay, this theme represents the views of different teachers on how effective corporal punishment is in disciplining learners. That's the first preliminary theme.
Let me interrupt this video for a minute and inform you of my services. My first type of service that I offer is consulting for anything related to qualitative data analysis using Nvivo. You hop on a video call with me through Microsoft Teams or Zoom and I will help you become a pro with Nvivo in a few hours. I also provide a done-for-you data analysis service. I do the manual coding and provide a data analysis report with the necessary visuals. Some kind of visuals I do include tables, hierarchy charts, and the framework matrix. Email or message me right now. Details in the description.
Let's look at another theme that comes out from all these codes. Remember, I had already tagged the codes with different colors based on the questions that these codes came from in the interview guide. When I was coding, I was making sure, for instance, all codes from question 1 are blue in color, as I previously explained. All codes from question 2 are purple, and so on and so forth. For instance, here we have codes that came from the same question. Let's look at these codes. Learners being defiant, learners bullying each other, learners fighting, learners going to school late or coming to school late, learners insulting one another, and learners missing classes and learners smoking. If you look at all those codes, they show one thing. These are examples or common cases of indiscipline in school. Okay, I can right click in the blank space and say common cases of indiscipline in school, and I can write a description for this. Common cases of indiscipline in school. This theme represents the different cases of indiscipline that teachers encounter in school. Okay, remember, for every theme you have to put a description. And also for that theme, let me go back to it. Here it is. I can go to code properties again and I can call this theme number 2. For this work, I'm just numbering the themes as I develop them based on shared meaning among the codes. I'm going to look at all these: learners being defiant, and another one, learners bullying each other. Remember, I'm able to find the codes because I'm just tracking the color codes that I had put initially. Okay, So let's go here and you can see learners fighting, learners going to school late, learners insulting one another, learners missing classes, all this code. Drag and drop the codes in there. Then we have some learners disrespecting teachers. Okay, some learners disrespecting teachers is also a common case of indiscipline in schools. So all those codes based on shared meaning, I group them together. Then I right click, I create aggregate coding from children, and that's how we form the second theme. Let's look at another theme that we can see it's more prominent. If you look, we can see a lot of dark green, this kind of green. Let's look at these codes and see what's their shared meaning. The teacher is forced to mediate the fights between learners. Teacher found learners drinking alcohol inside school premises. Teacher found learners drinking alcohol. That one falls under common indiscipline problems. And I think that one is about drug abuse. I just put it under a previous theme. Let's look at this. Teacher discourages fighting and bullying of any type. The learners influence each other to do bad things. Those are just codes. And learners use drugs in school events. Drug use might be another common indiscipline problem. I put that code under theme 2, and let's keep progressing. Now let's look for another kind of code. If you look at these two codes here, let's look: overcrowding in the classroom and parents being absent from the kid's life. Those look like causes of learners in discipline. I can right click and call these causes of indiscipline among learners. Causes of indiscipline among learners, and this one is the number 3. Okay, so these are the different causes of indiscipline among learners according to teachers. We have overcrowding and parents being absent. These two, I highlight them there. I click aggregate coding from children, and that's how we bring codes together to form themes. Let's look at some other kind of themes. I see some punishing learners by telling them to study the entire lesson, physical punishment, awarding the good learners, and detention. If you look at those are some ways that teachers use to discipline learners. I can call this theme 4 and call these strategies teachers use to discipline learners in schools. These are the different strategies that teachers use to discipline learners in public schools or in schools generally. Let's go to those strategies. You can see the first strategy is punishing learners. Remember, I'm looking at the codes first. I'm not forming themes first. This is inductive way of doing thematic analysis, where I'm looking for the shared pattern of meaning between the codes, and then the shared pattern of meaning between the codes will help me to come up with the themes that I'm coming up with, as you can see. So I drag and drop those codes there. I select this and control select the other one. Awarding the good students, detention, drag, drop that there. Then right click, go to select aggregate coding from children, and you see we have another theme there. Those are some ways to come up with themes. There's another one with a brown color. Let's look at those codes. The school governing council helps in maintaining discipline. South African police, parents, disciplinary hearing with principals and parents, dismissing learners from the schools. This can be theme 5. Stakeholders involved in disciplining learners. These are the different stakeholders who are involved disciplining learners in public schools. Okay, select that South African police. Parents. We also have disciplinary hearings. We also have the brown color, dismissing learners. So all those codes, I select them by pressing Control, drag all of them, drop them inside that thing, create aggregate coding from children. I've shown you examples of how to develop themes, and we have 5 themes. For now, I can just delete the other codes just because this video has a limit, but all these codes, we can keep getting more themes. And that's basically how you get themes. By looking at your initial codes, look for a pattern of shared meaning, then combining the codes with shared meaning together. Ideally, we can always come and get sub-themes in some instances, but this is how we get themes directly from initial codes. We combine them based on shared meaning to get final themes. Thank you. Remember, I provide done-for-you data analysis services and consulting services for any problem or challenge related to Nvivo. So check the link and email in the description and talk to me right away. Thank you.